Disc golfers like to post their in the bags only for 13 of their closest friends to like the video just as fast as they clicked off, because no one needs to know what you're throwing. But if you want me to roast your in the bags, comment down below and maybe we can make that a thing. I was asked to build the perfect disc golf bag, so I'm going to try and do that for every disc golfer, which is going to be hard, but I'm up for the challenge. Starting with putting putters, I'm not too concerned because that comes down more to feeling preference than anything, so as long as you don't putt with the Berg, you're doing alright. But why not? I'm going to say the Discraft Focus because that's what I putt with. For those wondering, no way in hell will those get thrown in any sort of way, only for putting. And if you throw your putting putters, you need to go see a therapist.
Ooh, you got that.
I'm also anti-throwing the same mold as your putting putter. Not for any reason except it's boring to be the same. I have small hands, so finding a stable throwing putter that feels good in my hand has been a bitch. Also, I only like them in base plastic. I know I'm weird, so for the sake of everyone, I've been enjoying the Lunas of late, so put them in the bag. It's only because some dude in my putting league gave them to me, but it's also Discraft, so easy cop out for people who like it. Every bag needs an overstable approach disc, and if you don't already bag the zone, you're making a mistake. I've only said Discraft discs so far. I've fallen into the trap. I bag a yarn, so I'll go on and throw that in the bag instead. The yarn is a bit deeper and a tad more overstable, allowing for harsher anhyzer flex shots, which are my bread and butter. The best feeling mid-range of all time is the Buzz SS. Holy shit, I really did join the dark side, didn't I? Scratch that, we'll go with the Clash Discs Berry. A stable mid that will hold any angle you put it on. Once it gets beaten up, it will be able to manage any hyzer flip in the woods as well. And for those needing something a bit more understable, we'll sneak a Mako 3 in there just for shots that need to go to the right without any question of coming back. And just because more disc golfers need this disc unironically, we're putting a Rolo in this bitch. On the other spectrum, we're going with the Gator. I don't remember the last time I threw an overstable mid-range, so I'm not going to complain about it being here. Plus, this will make the dude that keeps commenting about it happy. If Discmania didn't fuck up with the FD mold, I would be telling you that. But instead, we're going to go with the Essence. This will fill the spot of an understable fairway driver for any flip-up shots or anything you need to slow pan to the right. This disc is meant for most disc golfers. I'm talking even beginners. So what I'm saying is when it's flippy, you should expect it. But instead of throwing everything as hard as you can, work on slowing your arm down and letting the disc do the work. Or just throw the T-Bird 3 and let it handle all the power you put behind it for your 300-foot smash that you'll call 450 on Facebook. In all seriousness, the T-Bird 3 is a staple disc that can be pulled out for any standard golf shot. This should be one of those discs you grow a close relationship with. Ready for a semi-hot take? The 2021 Sexton Firebird is the best one, hands down. If you're waiting for me to say psych, you can stop because it ain't coming. It's perfect out the box flying like a typical Sexton, or in other words, like a Thunderbird. But as much as you keep beating it up, the fade never goes away. I've been bagging mine for almost 3 years now, and I can still trust it over any water that'll fade back. There are not many things I trust more than my Sexton in this world, so trust me when I say it's perfect. Then pair it with a normal Firebird, so there's one that will have a harder fade for windier situations. These are also going to be workhorse forehand discs for those who have one. I don't see how someone could complain about this disc being in the bag. And then for shots that need even more overstability, we're going to have a Splice. It's a baby tilt, so there's excuse not to bag that shit and have a quality utility disc at the same time. Most people will forget this disc is in the bag once you get to distance drivers, but I urge you to try not to. The Aztec is a disc that players should model their game after. Once they master everything this disc can do, their game will be in such a better spot. I hope you guys realize I'm talking in a generic sense of slower speed discs. Yeah, the Aztec is great, but it's the Archer, not the Arrow. As much as I feel like a pussy saying it out loud. I'm sure some of you were just waiting for me to get to this disc. If I was being honest, I would just bag 12 Clash Wild Honeys and call it a day. Doesn't get much more perfect than that disc. If you like to hyzer flip like myself, here's your new best friend. But for most of you, this disc is exactly what you've been looking for. It'll give you a more natural turn for slower arm speed players. For most, I think this should be their next max distance disc. I know it's mine. So for this bag, at least 2 of them are in. You guys might laugh because of how much I talk shit about this disc, but I do always say I love it. The Innova Destroyer has to be in the bag. The reason I say the Destroyer is bad is because most disc golfers throw this thing thinking it is the best for them, when in reality, they should just be throwing a Mamba. But in our bag, the Destroyer will only be pulled out for shots we want to fade hard. See, the disc can be useful for those players that don't have a mindset of crushing it. It'll be perfect in headwinds or shots we don't want to worry about any flip. And for the off chance there is 40-mile-per-hour winds, or we need some crazy flex line that need more distance than the Splice, there will be a Stiletto, but it probably won't get thrown too often. For those wondering where the glitch, tilt, berg, or whatever else weird shit you guys bag is, I picked one gimmick disc and it was the Rolo. I barely think it's a gimmick at this point. I've seen so many people revolutionize their game with just this disc. Still a crutch though, and I would recommend leveling up from that disc, but it's in the bag for those days that you can't stop throwing those up. Now don't get me wrong, there's so many discs at this point that I can make an entire new bag and feel just as confident that any disc golfer could play around with it. So if you like this type of video, make sure to drop a like because it was way different than what I usually do, and I want to know if I should do it again or just scrap the idea. The important thing is every type of shot should be covered in your bag, and even if you don't think this one does, here's the chart I base it off of. I also recommend you use this chart on your bag. If you don't have all the fundamental shots covered, you should probably fix that. The regular schedule videos back tomorrow, and if you want your favorite disc roasted, drop it in the comments below. But I'll warn you, I'm not holding back.